This is the TSG Multimedia Podcast, bringing you the best train, model railroad, and historic preservation news, updates, and information since 2010.
We're sponsored this month by the TSG Train Crew on Patreon and by ModelRailroadControlSystems.com, Electronics for Operations, and by Podomatic, a podcast hosting and distributing platform. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm John, your host, and welcome to the TSG Podcast, where you get a look at the behind-the-scenes goings-on here at TSG Multimedia. All the names rolling past to my right are members of the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. We recognize them every month like this because without their support, the content you enjoy on this channel would not be possible. If you like what we do here, join the TSG Train Crew by going to patreon.com/TSG Multimedia and add your name to this list. We also have sponsors, and I've included links to their websites in the written description of this program. Thanks to everyone who helps us create the content for this channel. I think June is the busiest month of the year for us historically, and this year it was a real barn burner, including layout tour shoots, artifact archiving, chasing trains, talking trains, the Bay Area Prototype Modelers Meet, a trip to Southern California, and a lot more. Now, before we get to all that, I want to wish a happy birthday to my buddy Sparky107107. He turned 29 last month. It's really rough getting that old. We also have Murph's 35th birthday coming up this month, so happy birthday, guys. Now let's get to June's events. Hi, we're here in Morgan Hill today. I'm here with my new friend, Jay Shellen, who's going to be taking us around his friend, Joe Hendrickson's ON30 layout. It's a really cool layout, and I'm sure I've seen some of these modules at train shows before, Jay, but why don't you talk a little bit about this maybe for a minute and let people know what this is?
Joe Hendrickson was one of the early founders with our group, the California Central ON30 group. He came up with kind of a U-shaped module to start with, and then he built a few more modules and finally got to this point where his health began to go and he wanted to build a home layout. So Dave Gill and I have helped him. Dave actually built a framework for two loops, one on this end and one on the other end, for this home layout version of his modules. So it's been an interesting trip, and we'll be happy to show people what the whole layout looks like and pinpoint some of Joe's great skills, and his ideas were fun for us to experience.
What I'm finding really interesting about this whole concept was that it was a U-shaped point-to-point, and in order to make it more useful when he could no longer go do shows, having a return loop on each end turns it into a running home layout, which I think is a pretty cool idea and something for people who do modular to think about if you want to have a home layout like that, because people always have their modules at home. That's why we do modular, right? To create a loop on each end and just put it in a garage or in a shop like this. Yeah. I think it's a good idea. So I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Not many people have a shop like this, but
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Well, people who have room.
Yeah. In a garage or in a spare bedroom or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking forward to this. And also I should mention our mutual friend, Phil Edholm's been after me to film this layout for probably 2 or 3 years now. Mm-hmm. So a little shout out to Phil. You had the right idea, Phil, because this layout's pretty cool. And we're going to go around and look at it, and I'll be back later with updates. I got to tell you, when I walked into this shop, I looked at the layout and was impressed immediately with how good everything looks. But the longer you stay and the more you look, the more you see. And this layout has so much detail in it. Anyway, that'll be coming up sometime in the near future, probably late summer, maybe early fall, something like that. and I'll catch you on the next update. Hi, we're at the SBHRS today, and we're going to be doing some more archiving of artifacts. This time we're going to be working inside the private business car here, and we're just in time to catch a train coming through. I guess we're just in time for 2 trains when it's all said and done. And I was just noticing that the Caltrain gallery cars are all parked down here. That is a lot of gallery cars. My understanding is that they're going to be shipped to Peru or someplace, South America. I guess the locomotives have been sold as well to a transit agency in South America. Well, this is a little bit later, and we've documented or archived the first, 2 or 3 rooms worth of stuff. Luckily for us, the business car doesn't have a ton of stuff in it, but, we've documented like the Pullman couch that I'm sitting on. There was a spittoon and some other furniture in this first room, and some lanterns, that kind of stuff. And there were a whole bunch of Pullman towels and some other associated napkins and linens. That was kind of cool to see. There's also Pullman blankets, and I don't know how rare this stuff is, but it's just not something you see every day. So I'm mentioning it here because it's kind of cool. And I think we're probably halfway done or so with what we need to do here. So I'm going to get back to it. Hi, we've made it out to Railtown. Just here recently for the YV weekend. They actually have the steam running though today. When we were here for YV weekend, they didn't have the steam running. So this is pretty cool. I haven't seen the number 3 running in, I don't remember the last time. So, but that's it. 460, nice known engine. And that's what we're going to be chasing today. Hi, this is an instance that you never know who you'll run into. It's Mike again.
Hey.
Mike, we've seen you like 3 times in the last 3 months.
I know, it's getting kind of weird.
On the channel, yeah, people are going to start talking.
Yeah.
What are you doing here today?
So I'm working for the state today. I think I was working for the state the last time I was here, but I was out of uniform because of the nature of what I was doing, blacksmithing. But today, working as a park aide. I'm the volunteer coordinator at the moment. And in addition to just checking in, make sure that all the volunteer positions are filled and people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Sometimes we don't always have people for the positions that we need. Like, for example, we have the Caboose on the train today. We don't always have a person to staff it. We don't always have riders in it. So today, one of the things I'm going to do is if there are any people, I'll hop on board and I'll be the car host and interpret some of the information about the car and about the railroad.
Yeah,
things like that.
I think we're going to be riding the train on the last trip, so maybe I'll sit in the Caboose so you can get a ride.
Awesome.
All right.
Hope to see you then.
So I'm here with Garrett Franklin, who is the chief, what is it? Chief
Operations Officer.
Chief Operations Officer here at Railtown. And the number 3 is running today, but the official return of number 3 has been announced now. And it's I think next week, as this podcast comes out on the first Saturday of the month. Why don't you tell people what's happening?
Yeah, so right now we're just running the engine, kind of like a soft opening. But the official debut ceremony after finishing the 1470 inspection on this engine will be on July 12th. There's going to be our ceremony just after 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere in there, right before the first train leaves at 10:30. dedicating the locomotive, and then probably some speeches and whatnot. And then everybody's going to take a train ride.
What are you doing here today? You're actually running on the engine?
Yeah, today I'm student firing. We're just breaking everything in, making sure the engine's ready to go before we release it 100%.
Breaking in, he said, not breaking.
Breaking in.
Breaking in. Make sure you hear that. Number 3.
Yeah.
Breaking in. Well, that's the tender, but you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's exciting stuff, and if you can come out to Railtown 1897 State Park in Jamestown, California for July 12th, it's going to be a big shindig. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm standing right now in front of the rock that's at Rogers Cut. And this is kind of a place of note because Rogers Cut is where the old movies would have the train robbers jumping onto the train to rob the train. And right up there is where they jump off of and go rob the train. It's kind of a cool place. It's a little bit later, and we're at the main grade crossing that comes out of Jamestown, out of Railtown 1897, and you'll see the right-of-way over my left shoulder here. There's a place not too far in there called Quartz Junction that I learned about many years ago. So we're going to hike in there and take a shot from there. So we've hiked out to Quartz Junction. This is the next shot we're going to be taking for chasing trains, and I thought I'd show you my setup here. I actually have an iPhone on a little clamp and then my Canon here. Both are shooting 4K 60 frames. And this one up here is just my old iPhone up here. Not really doing anything with that. I'm shooting the Chasing Trains video actually on that. But this is the shot. They're going to come through over here with the tender first. And then on their return trip, they're going to come up the stretch of track here. And they usually sand the flues when they're coming this direction because they're working the engine a little bit, and they throw sand in the firebox to clean out the flues, and it puts a bunch of smoke in the air. So it's one of those sort of rail fan shots. But this is Quartz Junction. We've made a stop at Chris Rogers' place. This is a guy that I met last summer, I think. And he has a huge garden layout here. And we're just taking a quick look at it. And we're going to go do some more running around chasing the train for chasing trains today. But I kind of had this plan for us to stop in here so these guys could see his garden layout because it's really a large layout.
I lower it and actually load coal into the car. And then when they're empty, I actually have a rotary dumper over here that runs on a rail foot.
So
guys all together here? Yeah. These guys over here too? Whole group? Oh, let's see. Alright, here we go. Sunglasses. One more. Sunglasses off. One more. Sunglasses. More movies and TV shows than any other locomotive in Hollywood history. Back to picture 3.
us a bit later, and the train ride is over. Number 3's here behind me. Gonna probably cool down a little bit, but I think they're gonna be back out here running this engine again tomorrow on Sunday. And I think I'm gonna sign off for the podcast for now, but I will remind you, July 12th, I think, is when Garrett said they're gonna be running this engine officially. And you might want to come out and check it out if you have time, because it's another one of these places where you can see steam. There's not a lot of them anymore. And this is a really well-known steam engine. So for now, signing off from Jamestown, I believe we have one more stop, and we'll see what that is in a minute. Remember I told you we were going to have one more update, or we might have one more update? This is it. We're at a park in Tuolumne now, which is a town pretty close to where we just were. And we wanted to go see this Heisler here that has the distinction of being the oldest Heisler in existence. I'm going to see if I can get Kevin to have a little word about this, because he knows all about these things. I can't remember much, so I'm going to see if I can get him to talk about it for the podcast here. Okay, so Kevin agreed to tell us about this fancy locomotive here in this park. What do you know about this, Kevin?
Behind me is the Woodside Lumber Company locomotive number 2, builder's number 1038. Built in November of 1899, is the oldest Heisler locomotive in existence. The Roaring Camp and Big Trees number 2, her sister, originally Westside number 3, is the oldest operational Heisler in existence, built in December of 1899, builder's number 1041. So it's pretty neat to come here and see this locomotive and see the similarities and differences between the two locomotives.
So this is the first time you've been here, right?
It's the first time I've ever seen her, yeah.
What's your impression of just, obviously you wanted to come here, otherwise you wouldn't have been here. But
I wanted to come see her. Never seen her in person before, just to see, what our engine sister looks like. And, it's weird to see some of the things that are so similar between the two, and then there's things on this engine that are completely different. So it's pretty cool.
This is something we don't do every day. We did Talking Trains today, June 18th, and we always do a wrap-up of the Talking Trains show, but usually it's live with us in person. Today, I'm holding my phone in front of my computer with Murph on the screen, and we're going to talk about what we saw today, because it was really cool. We had a guy on sharing kind of a toy-like layout called the Diamond Point Railways, and I thought it was really cool, Murph.
Yeah, it was basically a miniature Wonderland.
Wunderland.
And the coolest thing about this layout is he'd collected a lot of the animated accessories and train cars and everything else that kind of make all of that kind of fit together. There was some bits of it where I was just watching the videos he'd made of those things. It was like, this looks like a British TV show or a German TV show, of where they have animated trains and that sort of stuff. He had a passenger train that stopped at a station, and after a vocal thing by the conductor, the doors would open, and they'd have to stay there until the doors closed. There was an operating coal chute that we couldn't get John to be quiet about after a while.
Live loads, baby.
It was really fascinating seeing all this stuff going together, and everybody was like, we don't have that on our layouts.
Yeah.
It's not a big thing here, I guess, with the normal crew around here where we're doing ops to actually see this kind of thing. So it was really a great change of pace.
Yeah. I like that sort of whimsical toy train-like stuff anyway. So seeing it on a layout that was so well done, really, was pretty special.
I was going to say, that's what made it for me. I have only so much of a tolerance for whimsical, but this was so committed to it and so well done and scenic and everything else, where it was like, this is neat. I like this.
Yep. So catch it on the replay. You'll be glad you did. It's Talking Trains with Erwin Nathanson,
Diamond Point Railways. I'm with my buddy Paul here. You might remember Paul from the Fern Creek and Western.
Nice shirt.
Right? And this is one of those things we're using as an excuse to hang out because the Fern Creek and Western is gone now. We're here in a place called Richmond in California for the Bay Area Prototype Modelers Meet. And this is an RPM, our local RPM, that Paul has never been to. So
Never have.
We're going to get your feedback later.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, based on what you saw here. So let's go have some fun.
Let's have some fun.
Oh, look who is here. It's our friend Joe Piazza and his Peterbilt trucks. This is the one we didn't get to see last time at the Woodside reunion.
I understand what you're saying.
Those are the wheel and time loads.
Is this all scratch built stuff for kids or what?
A little bit of everything.
It's after lunch now, and I feel like I should mention that the Bay Area Prototype Modelers Meet is not just this room full of models and people, but they also do clinics here. They're having, I think, 4 clinics today at this event. It's also manufacturers. We have Owl Mountain Models, Rapido, Canon, detail parts. There's a lot of different manufacturers here. Some of them are smaller manufacturers. Also, I don't know if you remember, but Water Vehicles. Remember Alvin Ho? He's been on the channel before. He's here with his little signals, N-scale signals, and other N-scale stuff. It's just a really good event. And last year we came, and Sydney made the point and made the observation that it's almost like a family reunion because we know everybody, or almost everybody, who comes to this thing. And this is sometimes the only time of the year that we see some of these people. So it's pretty cool. This is an example of you never know who you'll run into. I kind of thought I might run into Jason from Owl Mountain Models, but I wasn't sure. But sure enough, I walk in and there he is. Hi, Jason. Hi. I wasn't sure I was going to be here either. But I did. But here you are. Now, Jason's here both as a vendor and as an exhibitor. And we're doing the video about Bay Area Prototype Modelers with this camera, so you'll find out about the vendor portion later. But I want to see these models that you brought because he's a really good modeler too. So can we go over and take a look? Yeah, we can. One of these years I need to come back to the studio and we need to tinker more. We have a weathering video that has been in the process since about 6 years ago. maybe 8 years ago. Fun stuff. Yeah, we'll get to that later. Don't worry, by now the cars are naturally weathered. That's true. They've been sitting out long enough. But we're going to look at the stuff that he brought because, like I said, he's a really good modeler too, and I want to show this because it's really cool.
So here I have both a lumber train and one of my Owenyo locals that is going to be part of my home layout when I get that further along.
And that's a jawbone branch of the SP, right?
Yeah, jawbone branch. So the 3666 is a sunset model that I've had for many years. And it's a typical power for the San Joaquin Valley. And so this would be like a lumber train coming down the San Joaquin Valley to Bakersfield. The 3266 was one of the regular engines, the heaviest engine rated on the jawbone branch. And so I have a few cars to go with that. These are mostly my cars. Well, they're all my cars, but the lumber loads are all Owl Mountain loads. And there's a couple of Owl Mountain flat cars in here. Like that one's an Owl Mountain flat car. That's an Owl Mountain flat car. Got some other fun ones in here, like some of the Rapido cars, some of the new tangent box cars like this one. Some of the lumber loads are fun. We've done some shifted loads like this one here where the load's starting to shift on it. All the lumber's moved. A few more Owl Mountain flat cars in here.
Should mention also that there is a video on this channel of Jason doing the weathering to make a plastic wood load like these look like real lumber.
Yeah, I think we actually have that load down there.
Oh, the one that we did on the video?
Yeah, it's back over there. And then these are our new Owl Mountain Blackburn racks. So I'll go ahead and pull one of these out for you.
Sure, yeah, show this off. This is closer detail.
Let's see if I can get a little
extra light, huh?
Yeah, is that a little better? I don't know.
It's kind of hard to tell, but I mean, people can tell what it is, I think.
Yeah. And so these Blackburn racks were used before the SP got the sugar beet gondolas in the late 40s. They bought 2,500 new cars in 1948 and 49, and that replaced these cars that were built to this configuration in the late 20s. These basically are removable, just like our lumber loads. So you can swap out a beat rack for a lumber load, whatever you want to do.
Cool.
And let's see, we got a couple of our MOW, Pullman MOW decal sets on these two cars. This is the 1948 set of cars that were retired out of, or pulled out of Pullman pool service, and the SP immediately retired a group of the cars and just patched them right into maintenance away. And then this would be the scheme when they repainted the entire car into the standard freight car red with white lettering.
Very cool. So here's a question. I'm sure somebody watching is going, "Oh, these are cool models. Where can I get them if I want them?" What would you tell people?
Well, the models that are Owl Mountain models, you can go to owlmt-models.com, and we're using Square now online, and you can just order them online, and we can send you the kits. And then we have I've done blogs, and we've done videos with TSG, and I've done a couple videos on my channel, which is Night Owl Modeler at YouTube. So just type in at YouTube Night Owl Modeler, and it'll come up with my stuff. And there's plenty of different assistance that we're trying to do for the different modelers. So even if you're a new modeler, we're designing everything to be able to be easy for you to build and improve your skills.
All you have to do is follow the instructions.
Yeah, the instructions are generally pretty good. A few of our decals and things are a little short on the instructions, but it's one of those things where if you're doing that model, that prototype, you probably already know where all the bits go. And if you have any questions, I'm always happy to help and probably answer questions for people.
This was another year at the Bay Area Prototype Modelers Meet, and I had a good time as always. Meet new friends and see a lot of people I already know. This year, people from Rapido were here, so that was cool. There were a ton of really cool models, and it's just good to see people that I haven't seen in a year. But Paul, this was your first time ever at this event. What did you think about it?
Yeah, it was really, really interesting, really, really fantastic. I've been wanting to come for many years now, and I'm glad I finally had the opportunity to do it. It was great to see all the nicely detailed models that people have spent so much time on, particularly the SP stuff, because that's what I like. But it was all great. And then also catching up with many people I hadn't seen for a long time, and meeting the manufacturers. It was great to talk to Rapido. And just all around, it was a good event and a lot of like-minded people. Everyone had something to talk about, and striking up a conversation with a stranger was easy because we're all on the same page. So it was really fun.
I gave it 2 of these.
I give it 3.
That's 3 thumbs up. Congratulations, BAPM. You get 3 thumbs up.
So John and Sydney just arrived from somewhere up north, and they came to look at the layout. And I wanted to point out that this is the very first place that you'll see a train on my layout at CP Division in the hump yard. And
he has a hump yard on his layout.
It curves around. Who has a hump yard on a layout?
Yeah.
An ex-railroader would have a hump yard on a layout.
Not a lot of people do that.
Not a lot of people have
in
hump
case
yards.
you haven't figured it out, we're doing something train related today. Well, we're always doing something train related, but we've come to Mike's place here in, is it Newhall or
Santa Clarita?
So this is technically Santa Clarita?
Yeah, but it is technically Newhall also.
I haven't been here in, I think, 3 or 4.
Close to 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years, something like that. I actually operated here on an operations invitational thing called SoCal Ops. So I've seen this before. And while we're in the area, thank you, sir, we're going to do a layout tour of Mike's layout. So we're just here. It's the first day we're here, and we're going to look at the layout today and take some pictures. And he's giving us a mini tour now because the camera person has never seen the layout. So
And
what else?
and you'll never know who you run into on the Santa Fe Pacific Railroad.
And you never know who you'll run into. You might run into this guy, or you might run into this guy. Same thing. Yeah.
I'm with him. Well, this is West Green River Yard. Has various Ontario, I shouldn't say that. This is the grain mill based on a place in Ontario, California. This is the auto parts assembly plant. And this is a support yard called Green River Yard, I call it. And it's not a major classification yard. It is a local switching yard. That's only 4 tracks wide.
And it's interesting that it's built on a curve.
Well, SP like to build yards on curves and grades. So 90% of SP yards are on curves or grades.
So people, Mike, that maybe don't know you from watching the channel, or maybe this is the first time they've run into one of the programs that you're on, explain that to people, because you built this layout to reflect basically where you worked in your career.
Right. Well, this is a good example of a yard that I worked at called Gemco Yard. Stands for General Motors Corporation, and it's in Van Nuys, California, which is about 15 miles from where we're standing. And it was basically a support yard for an auto parts plant that no longer exists. It closed in August of '92. And so I worked on the auto parts for a long time. It's a lot of interesting switching. Also, it has a lot of interesting traffic was coming in there. A lot of cars, a lot of Eastern Road cars, like as you see, Chessie, Erie Lackawanna, Conrail, Penn Central. One of the last days I worked there, I saw a Penn Central boxcar in 1992.
That was an auto parts car?
Auto parts car, yeah. You know, dilapidated auto parts cars.
So this is interesting to me, and this will give people who watch the podcast a great sort of preview of what the layout tour is going to be like. Of course, it'll be a little bit more in-depth than what we're doing here for the podcast, but yeah, this is exactly as I remember it, though, when I came here to operate.
Yeah, I love detail, and I love weathering. So I have very few pieces of equipment that aren't weathered, and I don't over-weather. I try to under-weather depending on the age of the car.
Well, you can always add more if you want to.
Yeah, it's hard to take off, though. But all I've worked on is grimy equipment on my career with Southern Pacific and Union Pacific.
Don't look at it when he does this.
Yeah, so the Santa Fe Pacific doesn't need heating because I have this.
Oh, I almost can hear it. I can feel the heat.
Yeah, you can feel it that far away.
I can almost hear the horn.
Well, the horn's on the roof of the house.
Yeah. So, what is that off of?
A U33C Santa Fe.
Wow.
Yeah, I was walking through some units one day and it fell off while we were walking through on the rear headlight. All railroad structures have a common color, which is white and dark green. So if you see a structure in the layout with a white and dark green, it's a railroad structure.
Is that an interlocking tower over there?
It's an interlocking tower, a small station, some maintenance away sheds, and another maintenance away shed. Most of these vehicles parked on the station are people that I know. Like my dad had this truck for years and years, 67 Dodge truck. I had a girlfriend that had a Gremlin. This is Dave Bayless's car. He's a very good friend of mine that John knows him. He's a model railroader. And we used to rail fan in this car extensively, which Beach Boys playing in the background. And this is a model of a friend of mine, El Camino, who likes to imbibe in the finer art of weed smoking.
Is that what that is? It's a little marijuana
plant made by Keebri. And he is busted by the Utah Highway Patrol going into the Rocky Corner Tavern.
We have a hot tip. I just learned something new. What is this you're using there, Mike, and what do you do with it?
It's the Mr. Clean Magic Sponges.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just cut them, make a smooth surface, and then just rub them on the track. And this track was just cleaned actually a little while ago, but you can see what it picked up. Here's one that's well used. But if all you gotta do is cut another section off of it, and then you got a brand new one. So simple as that.
Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean.
Something else that's really cool about this layout is that everything's lit for nighttime ops or whatever you want to do with it. The vending machine is one of my favorite things. I used to service vending machines a long time ago, and this is like a spot on. Hi, this is day 2 in Newhall, here with Mike again. And today we're outside of a historic Southern Pacific depot that I'm going to let him tell you about because he knows about it and I don't.
This is the Saugus Depo. It was built in 1876 by the Southern Pacific Railroad Company. It was originally on it still is on the route from Los Angeles to San Francisco, the original line at milepost 450. It was built in 1876 and moved to this location in 1980. It was located about 2 miles railroad west of here.
So we just got done looking inside. Eva, one of the people who works for the historical side, right? She's the main curator here, was showing us around inside. There's all kinds of really cool stuff, and they're in the process of, I guess, rehabbing and restoring everything that was in there. And when it's done, I think it's going to be a really interesting museum to visit.
Yeah, it's a great place to visit. This is Hart Park, and there's a lot of things to see here. There's an animal farm, there's bison, not to mention numerous old buildings around. So if you're ever in the Newhall area, it's really easy to find right here in downtown Newhall. So when we pulled in here, Mike was talking about how this little area that the Historical Society occupies has all kinds of little historic buildings and stuff on it. And a lot of these have been moved here from elsewhere, including the depot. So it's kind of a cool place, actually. If you were around and wanted to visit, I would think, if they're open, come learn some of the history here. Okay, so the layout video filming has commenced. We're just getting some drains in position right now. And this is going to be really good because Mike's done some things with this layout that make it more realistic, I think, than a lot of layouts. And that's all informed by his 40 plus years on the real railroads. It's really cramped in here. But this is later, and I think we're, I don't know, probably about halfway done, something like that, right? Right.
And I just learned about Mike's dog jaw.
Yeah, I'd really like to give a PSA to those that don't know what dog jaw is. And I'll show to John. So, John, just touch it real lightly in this area. That's your PSA. Thanks for coming.
We're still at it, and look how tired he looks. This is a lot more than you thought it was, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and I'm really tired.
It's okay.
It's okay. There's only 5 hours more.
Yeah, we're still working at it, though. But, you know, this is the process, though. He's learning. And these shoots take a long time. If you look at the timestamp, whatever it said, I don't even know what time it is now. Yeah, we've been at this for hours and hours. And I think we're getting close to the home stretch, though. So,
right.
Yeah. So what do you think so far?
I'm tired, but it's a good kind of tired.
Yeah.
And I think it's really well. And I'm learning something is never do this again.
That's also what I'm learning, but I'll be at it again, you know, in a week or two, probably at the next one. Hey, whatever. This is a bit later yet. And, well, Mike, we almost got everything done today.
Yeah, we spent 6 hours more than I ever did working for the railroad in the last 10 years. So
I think it was more than 6 hours because we started at 8 or 9, didn't we?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have, I think, three.
Right.
Yeah, we have like 3 major parts to cover before we're really done, and I think that'll be tomorrow. So
yeah, I'm tired. It's a good kind of tired, but we'll be back at it tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll do some more updates tomorrow. So, but I wanted to point out, Mike drooled on himself during dinner. And this is Jeff. Jeff has a really nice N-scale layout that's SP, operations-based SP. And so we had dinner tonight. Tell people about your SP layout. Just 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, check out John Wiley's video on 2022 ops.
That's right. We had a little short piece in there. Yeah.
These guys came over, ran on it. Good times. Check that one out.
Wiley's Wanderings.
Yeah, my layout's also on that same video, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't drool on yourself on the video.
No, I did not. Yeah. That's correct. We had a great time tonight. Good friends, good people. Long live model railroading.
Woo! Hi, we're back at Mike Osborne's this morning. There are a couple shots that we didn't get yesterday. We kind of got sidetracked in the morning. Usually a shoot like this goes in one day, but we're here anyway and decided not to, overdo it yesterday. And so we're back this morning, and I think we have 2 more shots or 2 more segments to do, and we'll be done with this layout tour. And yeah, it's been really interesting, I think, to come back here, because I think I mentioned earlier I operated here about 3 years ago during SoCal ops. And so coming back and really looking at the layout with an eye for detail and not so much as just trying to operate, you see things differently. And this is one of the most detailed layouts I think I've seen. So hats off to Mike for that. We just finished here at Mike's layout. Finally finished recording the last bits of specific footage that we needed. We still need a little bit more, but we had another plan to go do a little video about hand signals of the railroad. And we're going to go do that before it gets too late, because it's going to be hot today, and the sun will end up being in the wrong place too. So we're going to go down to the depot that we were at yesterday and go shoot that video. And I think we're going to come back here and do the last bit of layout video. It's just like a cab ride where I put a camera on a flat car and we push it around the layout. To be honest, I don't even know if we'll use it, but as I've always said, it's better to have something that you don't need than to need something that you don't have. And so when we do these layout shoots, we're pretty comprehensive about it. So we're at the historic Saugus Depo where we were yesterday when we had a little tour of this area, and now we're standing in front of this 260. And the video that we're shooting today is going to be with Mike's friend, another Mike, and we're going to be talking about hand signals, right?
Right.
So maybe you could tell people, like, what made you think of this idea? 'Cause this really was your idea.
Basically, I'm a member of the Southern Pacific Historical Society and the Santa Fe Historical Society, and my friend Mike is very much involved in those two societies. And we want to keep alive the hand signals that we used even in the late 70s, and still to this day, they're still using hand signals, but they are going to disappear. And a lot of the more complex ones are certainly going to disappear. So what we're going to do is do a little demonstration out here at the historic Saugus Depot and show people what it was like and what to look for the hand signals.
Should be interesting. And the idea is this mic will be toward the back of the train on the ground, and the other mic will be up in the engine repeating whatever he did.
Right. And I should mention that Mike was an engineer.
Right.
And I was a brakeman conductor. Mike was an engineer with Southern Pacific for over 40 years, and I was a conductor brakeman for 45 years. Recently retired.
Yeah, so that'll come out sometime in the near future, probably this summer. And of course, patrons will get to see it before that.
Right.
They always do. So that's what we're doing here now, and we'll probably have some updates later.
And spreading the knowledge, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, preserving the history. And
yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have John drive all the way down from the Bay Area down here to do this video, and we've had a great time so far. And
yeah, you can tell we don't have any fun hanging out, so Mike Osborne's friend that's helping us with the video today is Mike Jarel. He's here, and since we're sitting here in this interesting piece of equipment, I thought since he knows about it, maybe you could tell us a little bit about this locomotive.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a 1900 built Mogul 260. The SP had several classes of this locomotive. I don't want to say hundreds, but there were a lot. This very universal locomotive that could be used both in freight, passenger switching. It was just an all-around great engine. I like to refer to it as the GP9 of its era. And the locomotive, if you ever see the movie Oklahoma with Rock Hudson, there's an actual run-by with this locomotive hauling a train. And the only reason this locomotive survived and wasn't scrapped when diesels were coming in is at the time of its retirement in the late 50s, Gene Autry, from the singing cowboy fame, he had a movie production company, and out here in the Santa Clarita Valley had a movie ranch called Melody Ranch. And he wanted a steam locomotive to use as a prop. I'm not sure whether he actually ran it on the property, but he bought this locomotive from the railroad and had it moved up to his ranch here. And in 1980, when the Saugus Depo was decommissioned and moved to the park here, Gene Autry offered to the Historical Society to donate the engine to be put on display here, and it was a great thing. I mean, the railroad contributed, and maintenance way crews contributed materials and labor to lay the track, and they brought the locomotive over here, and it sits on display. It's been evaluated for restoration, but the likelihood is pretty slim. So it's just because of the logistics of restoring it and actually trying to get it to move somewhere, but. It is in they call in the preservation world, a stabilized condition to where someday, for some reason, if it wanted to be restored, maybe moved somewhere, it could be. But here it is at Saugus Depo, available for the public to see and tour.
And what's the SB number on it, Mike? The SB number?
1629.
1629.
Yeah.
All right, so we're finished with our hand signal video that was this guy's idea. And so Mike Jarel, the other Mike that told us all about the locomotive, wanted to show us this caboose. So we're sitting in the caboose now.
Right. This is
what is it, a C? What?
C40-3 caboose, probably built in the 1940s.
February 42.
February of 42, okay. And it probably was built in Los Angeles.
It was. All of these cupola cabooses, the steel cupola cabooses, were built they were home built to SP's own plans at the LA General Shops.
Oh.
And there were literally hundreds of these built.
Yeah, hundreds.
Before they went to bay windows.
Well, SP didn't like these because people would get hurt climbing up and down. So they more went to their bay window cabooses that you're more familiar with.
So anyway, we're done here for now. I think we're going to go to Beans, which is some signal that I forgot already. But that's why we do the video.
Beans.
Yeah, that's why we do the video. Two of them. To me, it's this. But anyway, we're going to go have some lunch, I think. And we have one more thing to do at your layout later, which is to do that cab ride video. So that's it for now. We'll be back with another update later. I just want to make a quick thanks to Mike Jarel for being on the video and also for meeting us here and letting us do the video here. And Mike, if you have a website for your society here, I think you should plug it.
Oh, I guess I should come back in the scene.
Here, go scoot over.
Here, come back over here. Okay.
SCVhistory.com is the website to go to.
A lot of train videos on there.
Yeah, there's all sorts of video links.
Very nice ones.
Including interviews. The last agent that lived at Saugus Depo. In fact, Saugus Depo was the last depot on the LA division where the agent lived in the depot, and he actually raised his family from. I think he moved in 58 until the depot was closed in 1980, early 1980.
What I like about these kind of places and your kind of societies is that all of that history, if you don't preserve it, it's going to be lost.
It disappears. But there's some great interviews with the family members that lived here and all sorts of people that interacted with the depot and all sorts of other great history of the Santa Clarita Valley.
So what is it again?
SCV Santa Clarita Valley History.com.
It's not .org?
Not yet.
Oh, cool. So SCVhistory.com. I think I'll check it out when I'm editing this video.
I'm sure if you just Google SCV history, it'll just come up.
We've finished everything we needed to do for the layout video. We got everything we needed to do for the railroad signal video.
The hand signals.
Hand signals. And I think we've got everything we needed to do. So thank you, sir, for having us over.
Thank you for all your help and work. And
it was a great
good meals.
Yes, good food.
We ate well.
We ate too much. Yeah. But I was going to say something else about it, and I can't remember. Oh, it was a great excuse to hang out. That's what it was.
That was the main purpose, yeah. We got to hang out and even made a new friend today.
We did.
Yeah.
It was Mike.
Mike.
Yeah. The other Mike.
Mike.
That you met earlier. So that's it for today. And there's going to be a little bit more of podcast stuff tomorrow, I think, because that's a surprise we have in store for the podcast viewers. And sadly, Mike won't be there. So we're saying goodbye tonight and say goodbye to the people.
Bye-bye. Thanks, folks, for watching the layout video.
Yeah,
please leave comments.
It'll happen later.
I kind of alluded yesterday to the idea that we might be doing something else today, and this is what I'm talking about. We're going home by way of Tehachapi Pass, and I'm standing in front of this ridiculously massive industry here at Monolith, California. It's just outside of the town of Tehachapi. So our top secret producer has never seen this line. So I figured we'd go home this way since we're down this far anyway. And there's a BNSF train coming. We just saw it in Mojave a few minutes ago, and it should be here any minute now. So that's probably the next thing you'll see. So if you were paying attention, you probably noticed there was more than one train just now. We've been here for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and we've already seen 2 trains. So as we're wandering around here, I saw this guy with keys. I'm like, hey, he seems kind of important guy. Yeah, he seems kind of important because, you know, the important people always have the keys, right? And this happens to be Marlan Woodside. He's the vice president of the Historical Society here that, I guess, maintains the Tehachapi Depot. So they're not quite open yet, but I thought I'd ask him if he would go on the podcast and tell people what this is. So why don't you tell people?
All right, we're a city-owned function here. They've restored this Model 23 SP Depot, and we are open to the public 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday through Monday. No admission. Accept donations. We're a 501c3. And what's inside is basically memorabilia. We have guided tours or let people wander through and read all the labels there. But we have the agent's office. We have the baggage room and freight room. We have the topography map. We introduce people to the 5 webcams that are live here so you can follow a train through the 28-mile section. Of course, the key feature is the Tehachapi Loop itself, and our topography map features that, and one of the webcams is featured up there as well. So, again, you can spend 10 minutes or you can spend a couple of hours here looking through. We try to have a display on the west end of our freight room right now. We feature a unit train called the oil can train that used to come through here in 1984 to 1996. It got replaced by pipeline, but you know how that goes. Yep. Technology always takes things away from us, like cabooses, etc. So
yeah, the SP oil can train's legendary.
It is, yeah.
So that's here at Tehachapi. Hope you'll come check it out. Hi, we've made it to Tehachapi Loop, and this is her first time ever seeing this. So what's your first impression when you see this for the first time ever?
It's pretty cool. be even more fun if a train came through here, but I think they're working on the track or something, so.
Yeah, we're not.
Might not get a chance to see a train on it, but
Yeah,
it's still pretty cool. It's cool to be here and experience what a lot of other people refer to and talk about. Now I know what it's like too.
And where we're standing is the official UP installed viewing platform. There's another vantage point if you hike in. I don't know if it's trespassing or not, but I've been there many times over the years. There's a little gate not too far from here, and you can hike in and get a view of the entire loop, including the tunnel. And I was thinking I might just fly my drone out over that area so that certain people who haven't seen this before can see it from that vantage point. So here's some footage from that. And you can see, if you hike over to that hill, you can see the tunnel and how the track goes over itself and all that. It's just a much better vantage point. And it's a cool place if you can catch trains out here. This is one of my favorite shots on the line right here, this big curve approaching tunnel 2. And people would say, oh, well, it would be a great shot of the train coming out of the tunnel. Yes, that is. But this shot of a train coming this direction is even better because you have that big curve. What's cool about rail fanning up here is you can hear the trains coming because there's grade crossings all over. And like we would hear them blowing the horns at the crossing down at Caliente from here. Or you might hear them blowing the horns from Bealville up that direction. It's another, I don't know, a couple miles that way. But the point is, you hear a horn, you know a train's coming.
This is a bit later. We made it home finally after a long few days out in Southern California. Had a great time. Want to thank Mike and Lauren Linda, of course, and other Mike and Eva and just everybody, Jeff, who, everybody that we got to hang out with and do things with. Had a great time. And I have a lot of editing to do because the layout tour is very comprehensive. We spent more time, I think, on that layout tour than we've spent on many layout tours. And the layout's so detailed, there's really a lot to tell about it. So, great time, a bit tired, fried, ready to maybe take a day off and rest for a minute and then jump into all the editing I have to do. So thanks everybody, and hope you all had a good time too. This is a very unusual sight. We just came to the Santa Clara Depot for something unrelated, and I hear this rumbling, and it's these Caltrain units just sitting here idling. They look like they're coupled up to this huge long string of old gallery cars that are on their way to Peru at some point. But I wonder if this is something that's going to leave from here sometime soon.
And now for the catch of the month. Raymond Swift caught the Coast Starlight in Alviso being pulled by two GE P42 DCs, numbered 160 and 7. This photo is from June 22nd. If you have a train or model catch you'd like to share, please email it to podcast@tsgmultimedia.com. Be sure you own the photos and include the what's, whens, and wheres of the shots you send in. Don't forget, this is the time of year when museums and historical societies run special events that help them fund their operations. So get out there and help them preserve, interpret, and promote history where you live. I hope to see you on the TSG train crew soon. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this program, please join the TSG Train Crew on Patreon. TSG Train Crew members get behind-the-scenes access and ad-free sneak previews in 4K ultra-high definition. Go to patreon.com/TSG Multimedia for more information.